I was going to say the wrong lyrics to Corduroy, and I was like, that's not even the lyrics.
Spill my sphincter. How's that?
That's perfect.
This time you ask me if I'm ready.
Okay. Hey, Greg, you ready?
Hey. I'm ready, Vetter. We are here to talk about Ryan's first show, Albany, right. 2003, which was April 29th.
29th, the day before the infamous Uniondale show, and the same week as State College in Buffalo, which are a little more known shows coming up the rest of the week, but Albany is a hidden little gem in there.
Yeah.
With good vibes.
Yeah. I did not go to this show. Not sure why. I think either I chose not to spend my money or there just wasn't an opportunity. I'm pretty sure you at least invited me.
Yeah, initially we were looking at the Boston shows in July. I saw this Albany show pop up. The tickets were only $36, which it doesn't seem like a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but I was putting myself through college. Actually would have had a little bit of a tough time springing it. And I didn't have a car, so I needed transportation. I think money-wise, it was tough for you, too.
Yeah, I was like 15? I think I was 15 in 2003.
Yeah, without a job, if I'm right.
Yeah.
No income.
It would have to be like Christmas money or something.
Yeah, what I ended up doing was, asking my parents to buy me tickets for my half college graduation, because I was going from HCC to UMass, paid for my ticket and gave me a ride and bought me a shirt at the show. They gave me a choice of a poster or a shirt. It's a cool poster. They use the same artwork with different colors the next night in Uniondale. But
this is the Statue of Liberty
getting kidnapped poster, which and at the time was only $20. I got the Riot Act tour shirt, wore it to shreds, and it's long gone. Obviously, if I had the poster, I'd still have the poster. So
you went with a couple old friends of ours from church, and Dad was there.
He did, yes.
He sat the whole time, right?
He sat the whole time when the crowd was pumping their fists during Alive. I looked at him. I was like, you can't even get into this, huh? But he went. He was a good sport about it.
Yeah, not really his thing. Big Beatles fan, big Paul McCartney fan.
That's about it.
Those
are the bands he likes.
That's pretty much all we listened to growing up.
Yeah, just about.
All right, so we're going to talk about the show. I have the set list open here. We are going to see if Ryan can go through the set list by memory.
I didn't look at it beforehand. I know they opened with I Am Mine, Whipping Last Exit, Blood, Crop Duster, Daughter, Even Flow, Ghost, Small Town, Love Boat Captain, Wish List, Save You, Once, Corduroy, Better Man Porch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the main set. They came out. They played People Have the Power.
Yep.
Not on the set list, but people held up peace signs. That was one Ed decided to do. They had a more fleshed out version in Buffalo a week later. Thought it was going to be a mainstay. Never really happened. They did a little improv about the lady Rachel that came up and held the lyrics up for Ed. Then they played Do the Evolution and Given to Fly. They played All or None after that. Then they played Alive and Baba O'Reilly.
That is correct. 100%.
Right. I have a lot of memories from this show. A lot of moments stick out. We were in the cheap seats. The sound was okay where we were. I thought it'd be louder. The people on the floor were going crazy. I wished I was down there. I tried to enter the 10 Club by the deadline to buy tickets, and our old computer kept crashing. Our AOL connection.
Oh my goodness.
Didn't get me through. So this would be the only tour we went to without being fan club members. I've been on the message board to get tickets, but ultimately this was the one tour. We just went through the Ticketmaster sale. So up in the cheap seats, I Am Mine was the song that they opened with. A huge surprise opener. I think it still might be the only time they've opened with it. They may have done it once more. A very rare opener. Whipping was a big surprise. They had these lights in 2003 that came down behind the band for certain songs, and it did that for that.
I remember it did. I watched the show recently. It did that for Daughter, for The Shades Go Down. That was really cool.
Yeah. Pretty minimal light setup, but it was very cool. And they still had the stage set up with the bat wings that we stopped seeing after 2008. I'm not positive, but Blood Early was a great highlight. I loved the Riot Act record. I loved seeing Ghost. I've only seen it twice. They played it a couple times on that tour. I never saw it again.
That's one of the things I was thinking about when watching the show, is that at the time Riot Act came out, I didn't love it. Watching 2003 shows now, I just really appreciate some of the songs they played a lot, like Save You, Ghost
Yeah.
and Half Full and stuff like that. They really killed it.
Yeah. It was a pretty tight show overall. Savior was one of the few screw-ups. Ed totally got lost during I think the second chorus, I don't think he got right. And sometimes they still mishmash that a little, but that's the I'm not leaving this life without you. I think he went back into the fuck yous for that one, or fuck me's, if I remember correctly. I remember the solo for Love Boat Captain just being blown away. They do the extended solo live. They always play it twice as long as the record. Porch I wasn't excited to see Porch, even though it's one of my favorite songs, because the 2000 bootlegs I thought were underwhelming with how Porch sounded. And starting in 2003, they really gave some form to the jam. And I remember being pleasantly surprised at the energy there. And there's a cool riff that Mike played. Wish List was drawn out with a cool improv. Even Flow sounded better than I expected. I didn't expect to be super excited about that. Again, the 2000 bootlegs, I thought the guitars didn't sound great. It was a rush through. They still play it too fast, but the jam was kind of newly structured. They added the little quiet riff back in, I think, before the big chorus. The encore felt short. Do the Evolution felt huge. The crowd was screaming. Given to Fly was great. I wasn't as into the song then as I was now, but all the fist pumps and everything were cool.
It was interesting how late they played Given to Fly compared to now, where it feels like they play it pretty early. Sometimes we even saw them open with Given to Fly.
Yes.
That's usually kind of an early crowd starter, but
Yeah.
back then, I guess
late
had a different function, I guess.
Late in the encore, and sometimes it's in the encore somewhere, but not usually fourth or fifth of the last song of the night.
Right.
So that was different, yeah. And they were still playing it slower back then, and Mike's guitar had the effects. That song has gotten progressively kind of more of a party mode song ever since 2000, which I think it lost a lot of its subtlety. But in 2003, it was still slower and atmospheric. I remember Mike's guitar tone during the solo of All or None just being one of the few moments that I felt was sufficiently loud during the show. That solo just cut through everything. It sounded fantastic. Great song, great version, big surprise. Alive was great. I had really wanted to see that. I didn't know if they'd be playing it. I was happy to see that they started playing it again in 2003, and everybody had their fists pumping. That's kind of dwindled a bit in recent years. It's not as cathartic as it was 22 years ago, but
yeah, 2003 is pre-cell phones for the most part.
Everybody
that makes a big difference, you know.
It does make a big difference. Yeah, everybody was there together, and everybody was pumping their fists and screaming, and it was quite a moment. And then
I wrote down there was a pretty good Eddieism for Alive. Is something wrong? She said. Fuck, of course there is. Jesus.
Fuck, of course there is.
Okay.
Well done, Ed. And then Bob O'Reilly was great to close. Mike put a guitar on after Bob O'Reilly, and the band left him, and he kind of shrugged, took some pictures, and
was he ready for Ledbetter?
I think so. Yeah. I know Ed wasn't feeling great that night, and I do believe there was a curfew, but they weren't quite up to the curfew. So they probably could have gotten one more in, but Ed was drinking tea. There were rumors he had a cold, and I guess didn't want to push it with the last song, whether it was somebody told him, whether it was a curfew or that, I'm not sure. But so overall, a great show. I had high expectations, and it was better than I expected. I knew they were usually playing 2 encores at the time. The first encore was somewhat long, but felt like it could have used a few more songs, but they made up for that with the with the next show we saw.
Yeah. Something I said in the last episode that I was kind of reminded of watching the show was how tight it was, and also just how quickly paced everything was, and the fact that Eddie really didn't take a whole lot of time to talk to the audience except after the first few handful of songs, and then again a couple times later, like in the encore or something. But for the most part, it kind of moves along at a clip. It's under 2 hours, just under 2 hours.
It is a fairly swift show. I think a lot of Ed's talking now, he often needs a break. I think even Fenway 2 in 2016.
It's pretty clear now he's buying himself time.
Started to talk, and he's talking, and he goes, "What else can I say?" And then he goes into the microphone. He said, I'm really just doing this because I need a breath.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think there's a function for it, but even in 2003, at times he was being political. There are some short speeches it shows, but nothing usually super long. There was a joke they played. I want to say that it was in Florida, but I'm not positive. But they did do this kind of extended thing where he teased the crowd by saying if they found the words, or if they found the letters WMD under their seat, they'd be the winner. And he said, there's one winner. There's a WMD out there, and whoever finds it wins. At one point, he kind of stopped the show and asked if, did anybody find it? Did anybody find it? And then he was like, that's strange. There are no WMDs. And obviously that was the weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
So there was that. There was a rant in Hershey. The girl was flashing him, and he called
mosquito
her
bites.
Mosquito bites and things like that. But now he comes out for the encore and usually talks for 3 or 4 minutes before he plays his encore song.
You were wrong about the WMDs. It was not Florida. It was Dallas. Shame.
I remember the whole set list for Albany, and I couldn't remember that detail.
That was the most important detail of all for this Albany show. Anyways, let's move on, shall we? If possible. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I guess we could call your set list intuition, and that you've developed this ability to take very, very educated guesses that are often correct about what they're going to play next based on the instruments they're holding and just knowledge of set lists and stuff like that.
I try not to do it if people don't want to hear it. I know Beth gets annoyed sometimes when we're at Guster shows. If a song she likes is going to happen and I say it first, she would rather have the surprise. Yeah. So seeing where Ed's hands are before a song is often a tell. In particular, when he gets his guitar for corduroy, he often likes to play it right out of the song before it. So there are times, I think it happened in Boston at Fenway in 2016, night 1. I believe they were playing Given to Fly as the third song, and they were going to do corduroy, and he got his guitar, and as he waited for just the end of Given to Fly, he put his hand in the E chord in the 7th fret, so you knew that was going to be corduroy. It could have been either corduroy or Lucan, but you wouldn't expect Lucan in that case. So part of it is actually Ed will often kind of set up in a certain way. You can tell by what configuration of guitars they have, although they interchange. Mike and Stone somewhat interchange the guitars they play for songs. For example, Mike has played a Strat during a live, but he's also done his Les Paul Jr. during a live lately too. So you can't always tell just by which guitars they have. But Jeff's bass is always a big tell because he's on the stand-up for Daughter, Indifference,
Jeremy,
Glorified G. Jeremy, he's on a
that's a 12-string
bass.
Okay.
Yeah, the sit down are those 3 songs and Nothing Man. So if it's the second or third song and Jeff has the stand-up and Stone has an acoustic, it's probably either Daughter or Nothing Man. So things like that too. Sometimes people guess a song and you're like, they don't even have the right instruments for that. If Jeff has his 12-string out, you have Wygo, Deep, Leash, Jeremy are the big ones. If I'm missing, I might be missing 1 or 2, and I apologize, but usually it means Jeremy, especially if it's about that spot in the set list.
Right.
And then there are guitars that resonate a bit due to being an open tuning. So when Stone gets his guitar for Daughter, it's an open G tuning. So when he just strums it open, it makes a G chord. He often gets that and just kind of hits it quick. And you hear that tone and that sound, and you know it's going to be Daughter, or Before Even Flow. That's an open D guitar tuning for Stone. When he gets his guitar and kind of hits the pedal to activate it, you hear the resonance of that open D chord. So things like that are a really good tell. Also, whether Ed has a guitar, because knowing what songs Ed plays guitar on greatly changes what they can play, and there's a good amount of them. When they come out and Ed has a guitar and somebody near me yells, "It's going to be Release," it's not going to be Release. It's it's going to be potentially Long Road, or Sometimes, or Corduroy, or something that's not Release.
Right.
But there was a cool incident in 2010, back-to-back shows. When we went to Boston 2010, Ed was talking about, you're going to have to help me out with the name of the author of the People's History of
Howard
the United
Zinn.
States of America,
Yeah,
Howard Zinn. He was talking about Howard Zinn, and he had a guitar in his hand, and I thought, this is really strange, because usually he talks about Howard Zinn before Down. And he's talking about Howard Zinn, but he has a guitar in his hand, and they played I'm Open, and it went into Betterman. And then at MSG2, later that week, I had that discussion with you in the car on the way back, where you said, I really thought they were going to play Down.
Yeah.
I said, but he had a guitar in his hand. And you're like, oh yeah, that's true. I don't think about those things. At MSG2, Ed started talking about Howard Zinn, and the person next to you said, "Oh, it's going to be down," and you said, "It's not going to be down.
No,
he has a guitar in his hand. He's probably going to play 'I'm Open.'" And when they did, didn't the guy buy you a beer?
I think
He said
so.
he bought you a
I think
beer.
so, yeah.
He said, "Oh, I'm going to buy you a beer for that." And next time he went, he came back with one.
Yeah,
for
that's
you.
right. Yeah.
Because he was so impressed with your knowledge. That was new knowledge from me. I
From
deserve
you,
that.
yes,
I deserve
yes.
that beer.
Oh, well, I'll have to repay you that beer.
Yeah, you definitely owe me. I waited till the podcast to tell you owe me a beer. That's actually the only reason I did this.
Da-na-na-na-na. That's great. Well, we should definitely bring that up again at some point, I think, because it can be fun to talk about trying to guess songs based on instruments and stuff like that.
2003, it didn't happen as much, but it'll come up in other shows that sometimes, and sometimes it's exciting. It's almost a little annoying in certain spots to, when you feel
When you
Even
just
Flow's
know.
coming on and Stone puts the guitar on, you're like, all right, we're going to get...
Here we are for the next 10 minutes.
It's fun, which is
Which is
great.
fine.
I'm obviously very lucky to be able to see the band so many times that over the course of a week, you sometimes see the same song 5 times, and that's okay, because someday we're not going to see them. You're going to wish that you could see Even Flow again. So
Yeah, and they switch up the set list so much. You'll see a few songs over and over, but that's it.
Oh, yeah,
You'll see a handful over and over, and the rest will be different.
every show is different. Every show has its unique moments, and even if I had to rank the tiers of shows I've seen, even the shows in the lowest tier still have moments that made it worth the whatever trip we took to get there. And that's kind of the magic.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my microphone's about to fall. I'm holding
he's
it up.
been holding it.
I've been holding it up like half the time.
Shown tremendous lower arm strength this episode.
So I think that's all we have for this episode, but we have a doozy coming up. Should I spoil it or no?
You can. You
I just
already
did, but
so
I can redo
I've
the
mentioned,
line.
No, I've mentioned it. Don't
Okay,
redo the line.
okay.
We're going to keep it. Fuck
Yeah.
it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. So yeah, we got a big one coming up. If you have any questions or comments, let us know and we'll get back to you. Any jokes to close out?
No, I just, with this microphone situation, I thought we were this big, rich podcasting corporation. We should have all sorts of extra microphones available at our disposal.
We're here in an unfinished basement. I painted this wall for the podcast.
If
but
anybody-
this is pretty low budget.
If anyone gets that reference, please feel free to put it in the comments.
What's it from?
I can't say it.
All right. Well,
All right. Peace out.
Peace out. All right. Well,
All right. Peace out.
Peace out.